No tanks rolled in, no armies invaded. Yet in August 1953, the government of Iran crumbled. Streets of Tehran erupted with chaos. The prime minister was arrested and the Shah, who had fled days earlier, returned in triumph. But this wasn't a revolution born on Iranian soil. It was orchestrated thousands of miles away, in Washington and London. This was Operation Ajax, the CIA's first major covert overthrow of a foreign government, and it changed the Middle East forever. In the early 1950s, Iran was a nation in transition. At its helm was Mohammad Mossadegh, a popular and defiant prime minister, who had nationalized the country's oil industry, previously under British control. To most Iranians it was sovereignty, but to Britain and the United States, it was a threat. Britain, having lost control of its prized Anglo-Iranian oil company, sought to retaliate, but direct intervention was impossible in the post-colonial world, so they turned to the United States. President Eisenhower, newly in office, was swayed by arguments that Mossadegh was leaning toward communism. In the shadow of the Cold War, that was reason enough. And so began a secret operation, approved by Eisenhower and run by the CIA's Near East Division, led by Kermit Roosevelt Jr., grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt. His mission, destabilize Mossadegh's government and reinstall the Shah. Roosevelt arrived in Tehran in the summer of 1953 under a fake name. What followed was a carefully choreographed campaign of bribery, misinformation, and manipulation. The CIA paid mobs to riot in the streets. They paid journalists to publish pro-Shah propaganda. Iranian military leaders were bought off. Religious leaders were pressured to turn on Mossadegh. Even parliament members were quietly influenced. For weeks things teetered on the edge. The first coup attempt failed. Roosevelt was advised to leave, but he stayed. And on August 19, 1953, chaos erupted. CIA-backed mobs stormed government buildings. Soldiers loyal to the Shah joined them. Mossadegh's home was attacked. He surrendered. By nightfall, the Shah's rule was restored. Operation Ajax had succeeded. In the short term, it was seen as a triumph of covert power. The CIA had removed a democratically elected leader without firing a single shot. Iran's oil was once again under Western influence. The Shah was a loyal ally to the US and would remain so for decades. But the long-term consequences were profound. For many Iranians, the coup planted deep resentment. Their democracy had been stolen by foreign powers. The Shah's rule became increasingly authoritarian, backed by US military aid and intelligence. His secret police, Savak, brutally suppressed dissent. Discontent grew, and in 1979 that resentment erupted into the Islamic Revolution. The Shah was overthrown. Iran transformed into a theocratic state vehemently opposed to the West. The seeds of anti-American sentiment had been sown decades earlier, in the backrooms of Operation Ajax. To this day, the coup is considered one of the most controversial acts in CIA history. It set a precedent for future covert interventions, in Guatemala, Chile, Congo, and beyond. It showed the world that the United States would go to great lengths to protect its interests, even if it meant undermining democracy. In Iran, the memory of 1953 remains sharp. It is not just history. It is a symbol, a reminder of how outside forces once rewrote their future. Operation Ajax was a quiet war. No bombs, no battlefields. Just whispered deals, ink on secret papers, and cash exchanged in dark alleys. And with it, a nation's destiny was changed forever.